Takopi's Original Sin is a very different kind of show. I went into it completely blind, but even I could smell the tragedy a mile away, and that's because it is not subtle. There's a content warning at the start and everything. One look at the suffocating classrooms or the well-worn roads tells you the whole story. This is not a happy place. The art style is messy and jagged, the shadows a harsh, imposing contrast to an otherwise saturated palette, with this girl, Shizuka, sitting at the center of it all. When I was trying to recommend this show to a friend, I called it psychological, but I made a point to separate it from horror because I am not intelligent. So consider this a warning from me to you. This show gets into some disconcerting stuff. If bullying or suicide are sensitive topics for you, there's no harm in skipping this one. There's 50 billion other good shows out right now, you're good. But for the rest of us who were irrevocably drawn to the call of the void, we're gonna have to start way over here at Planet Happy. Takopi is a Happian from the Happy Planet, so already this guy is ruining my vibe, and after the most miserable kid on earth rescues him from the Japanese army for animal control, or both, he makes it his sole mission to make her smile. So he gets to work. A happy gadget that makes you fly! She walks away. Already we are in dire straits. But Takopi isn't giving up yet. What else is humor's like? Selfies! Happy camera! Boom! Friendship immortalized! She doesn't care. Okay. Think, Takopi. She just got into a fight with her bestie. I have something for that. How about this really, really strong and unbreaking string? It makes people friends again. Yes, I knew she'd like that one. Finally, she gets to make amends with her friends and smile.
Bye.
This show is fucked up. But you already knew that. Takopi didn't know that, and his reaction is varying levels of infuriating, mortifying, and sad. That's what makes this story work. Probably the most foul trick this show plays on you is forcing you to experience it through Takopi's perspective. We see Shizuka's situation worsen in real time. Stolen or abused property, bad-mouthing, the word die is written on her backpack in one shot. Bullying is far too soft a word for what's happening here, but Takopi never noticed because he's an alien. He doesn't have the human context that we do. Instead, he has an annoying voice, a lot of garbage, and we are stuck with him! Through time travel, Takopi gives himself a chance to save Shizuka from that nightmare of a future, and at first, it's honestly endearing as hell. That desire to really see her, to understand why she would do what she did so he can put a stop to it. In a vacuum, this is such a noble and sweet dream that can make even the most invisible feel seen and heard. And then Takopi starts talking and your confidence in him dwindles. Oh, the school bully threw this girl's stuff on the roof where she can't find it? Aw, she just wants to make amends with her. She just needed to get her attention first, but she was shy. This one's very clearly a loving and very stable household. This disconnect is shoved down your throat. The unemployment soundtrack doesn't end. Takopi's high-pitched squeals and peas don't quiet. The show just hands him the tone and lets him color each scene in this peachier slice-of-life comedy of a world. It's like being forced to stare down a car crash through twisted glass and then clap in applause. It's kind of a double-sided blade in that sense. On one hand, this dissonance is a boundary that shelters you from interacting with the story too directly, but on the other, Takopi is just so fucking annoying. He's literally just in my way. No. Bad Takopi. That is not face paint. That is what happens when you get curb stomped. If you think she can just talk it out and fix it all willy-nilly, why don't you just disguise yourself as Shizuka and do it yourself? I mean, I was just joking, man. But up until this point, I'd been pulled into Takopi's optimism. Marina was bad, but even I'd figured that the braver of two faces could earn some kind of ground with her through sheer directness and honesty. What Takopi got really was a slap in the face. And then another. A punishment for even attempting to use his voice. This wasn't a conversation. This was a cruel, one-sided vent session at Shizuka's expense. Her body is small and frail, and for once, we're feeling that weakness firsthand. This is far worse than he ever could have imagined. The cute, absurd expressions, the exaggerated pouting, it's gone, and what we're left with is something colder, someone cruel and unflinching in their pursuit of twisted justice. Fear is locking Takopi's limbs in place now, as the picture he'd built of this situation is shattered. He can't face her anymore. She's scary, and if her name is Shizuka, she's a threat. But in that moment, his name was Shizuka, and he was wearing her skin. That boundary from before. It's gone. We're living this now. The show is really good at capturing that restriction, that helplessness you feel when you get into trouble as a kid. These guys have no powers. They certainly don't know better. They're just kids. caught between the whims of their shit-ass parents. The adults in this show suck! The parents in this show are either violently overbearing or not present at all, and the teachers are somehow worse. They make an active effort to close their eyes and ears unless you are shouting for help, and also lost a limb. Many would argue that this is actually accurate to the real-world schooling system, and to that I'd say, carry on. It's moments like these when adults are out of the question that we turn to our last possible option. Foreign entities from outer space with reality-altering gadgets. The hiccup here is that our glorious savior in this case is Takopi. I mean, he tries, and sometimes it even works. When things improve, it's never because an adult stepped in, it's because Takopi applied a band-aid to a broken arm and the show decided, hey, good job, that works for them. You know, until it doesn't. And I think that's what makes this show so harrowing. It uses perspective to simply dismiss common sense. We already know Takopi is naive to a fault. We know he's not going to see what we see or react to these situations in the way a normal person would because he's not a normal person. He's a balloon animal that the show gets to yo-yo as close to the story as it wants, whenever it wants. It's because of this that you'll find yourself filling in the blanks that Takopi can't over the course of the show because we have the context to make those calls. The show knows that we have the context to make those calls, but it also knows that in doing so, we just closed our minds. We already know what's happening here, right? This walking tragedy of a girl is getting bullied by this really mean girl that probably has issues at home. But isn't that kind of messed up? The way I just decided who these characters are for them? I like that I know more than Takopi because now I get to shout at him through my computer screen, but the scope through which I've been watching this show hasn't changed at all. I filled in those blanks. I decided Shizuka was tragic and helpless. I decided Marina was cruel and unjustified, and I'd say it again in a heartbeat, but is it fair for me to decide who these children are just because I've seen them in their darkest moment? For my Death Parade fans out there, that one was for you. But it's true. For all the shit I gave him, Takopi is a sweetheart at the end of the day. He really does keep everyone's best interest in mind. When they're sad, he wants to make them happy. It doesn't matter who it is, and his desire to understand doesn't mean he'll always get why that is, but he'll try. And I think that's the tragedy of this story. You are not fending off the rain with fucking duct tape. Takopi obsesses over making Shizuka smile, so much so that he sees her shaking and unmoving in the bathroom and just insists that they can talk through the problem. Remember that? This is the kind of moment he can never wrap his head around, and Shizuka's silence only gives him more room to decide what she needs instead. He sees a problem that needs to be solved, so he solves it. Duct tape. But without understanding why she's being bullied or why these fucking adults are also fucking useless. Each wrap of tape is only mounting pressure from the rain until something finally gives. There's always going to be more to this story that he won't be able to see. That's not just because he's an alien anymore, but because you can't just avoid your own perceptions and biases because we assign labels, point fingers, and take sides. For most of us, that's enough. Twitter. And when I look at it that way, the world of Takopi's original sin becomes this frighteningly hopeless place. But if you're willing to take just one step closer and peek a little bit deeper, maybe it doesn't have to be that way.